Congratulations, you're dead. Hi there, and welcome to episode 5 of Congratulations, You're Dead. This episode, I chat to my good friend Matt, who was up in Queensland for a special project, and I managed to get him on his last day of hotel quarantine. We talk about a large number of things, but just a quick warning, some of the topics are a bit heavy and deal with a few things that some people might find a little uncomfortable. I had to cut this into 2 parts. In the first part, we talk about wrestling. I don't know if it's brought up much, but Matt is an indie wrestler in Australia, and his character, the reason I bring up he's a mercenary, I realise I didn't actually say in the episode, but his character is a mercenary, so that's why I bring that up. And I also let him know he died, and we get into a few questions, and then the rest of the questions are in part 2, which will be next week. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome back. Today I have with me a wrestler, mercenary. He's not really a mercenary, it's just a character, it's fine. And a man after my own heart. Matt, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Neri. It's been far too long.
It has, how are you? Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, really great. Thank you. I can't complain. I'm in a pretty good spot at the minute. So, yeah, no complaints from me.
Awesome. That's good. So I started doing this to check up on people. That was the intention, to check up on people during lockdown that we had here in New South Wales. But I was lazy and I started it late. So you're actually the first person I'm talking to that's actually in quarantine at the moment. How's that going for you?
It's not ideal. So I have been through a fair amount of lockdowns. I live in Melbourne, and we had a lot. And then I went back to New Zealand for a stint. And then when I came back, Melbourne went back into a lockdown again. And they only just came out a few weeks ago, sort of thing.
Yeah,
like gyms only reopened a few weeks ago, and so on. And yes, you are right. As of right now, I am currently in hotel quarantine in Queensland because Victoria obviously has thousands of cases, and Queensland's done really well with their COVID response. So coming from a state that has those kind of numbers means that even though I'm fully vaxxed, even though I've had multiple negative tests, in fact, I had a test yesterday and I'm sure that'll come back negative, we still have to go into hotel quarantine, but it's all good. This is my
2 weeks, right? Your third time in hotel quarantine?
That is, yeah. So this is actually season 2. We'll get into that, but I've come up to Queensland twice. So I've done 2 here in Queensland, and when I went back to New Zealand, I had to do 1 there as well. And I am on day 14, so the last day.
You're almost out.
Correct.
That's all right. How's the hotel, though? Is it like they put you up in some crappy hotel, or is it kind of nice?
The hotel itself, like the room itself, isn't that bad. Okay. From the last 2, like pretty similar rooms. Like the thing about it is it would be great if you didn't have to just stay in your room for 14 days on the trot, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's a reasonable hotel room, like nice amenities, food delivered to your door 3 times a day, but you can't leave. So it's like a fancy prison.
That sounds horrible, actually.
You find ways to pass the time.
I imagine,
yeah. On all 3 occasions. On all 3. I mean, you said it. I didn't say it. On all 3 occasions, I brought my PlayStation, so I'm not going completely insane. I've got my laptop, so I'm catching up on TV shows and movies. Like this week, I finally got around to watching WandaVision. I really wasn't that interested. Yeah, of all the shows and series that have come out, for the most part, I think I am. I don't think there's anything I've missed, but I try to stay up to date with the Marvel stuff because I enjoy it and I want to be, I don't want anything to be surprising, or, I want to be up with all the storylines. And WandaVision was a series that just didn't appeal to me. Like when I saw the ads and I was like, they're not my favorite characters, but I can say it was fantastic. Like around episode 3-4, I really started to kick up.
Yeah.
Not to mention like bringing back Days of Future Past, Quicksilver. Like I lost my mind.
I lost my mind when they did that as well.
I am finding ways to pass the time. The best part about it this time round is the production company hooked me up with exercise equipment. So I've got dumbbells, I've got a spin bike. So that's the worst part about it is coming into hotel quarantine. you have to eat the food that they give you, whether you sort of like it or not. And obviously you do have the option of getting takeaways, but the last thing you want to do is be ordering Uber Eats, every other night. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's quite easy to put on weight in these in hotel quarantine. But I think I've done had a good run this time.
Oh, that's good. So you're there to shoot something. I won't say what you're there to shoot, but you're there to shoot like a project that's quite well known.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so this is as I've gone on in my wrestling career, more and more acting gigs have come up, and I've dabbled in my early career. I've done a couple theatre shows, and I've done a couple television commercials, a couple independent films. And
I remember that robot one you did like 5-6 years ago.
Cyborg Massacre, I think it was. Something like that.
Did you ever see the finished product?
I didn't. I saw bits and pieces, but I didn't even like go to the rap party. Well, the rap party being like a small group of people at a pub type thing. It's not like it was a massive production. But yeah, the thing with the acting is isn't the passion. Like I enjoy it, and I'll definitely take the work, but I haven't pursued it actively because it's not really what I want to be doing. But in saying that, being up here for this opportunity, this project is huge. Obviously, I can't really say what it is.
That's fine.
But yeah, it's I guess now into the future, like I think I'll be looking for more acting gigs, seeing what I can pick up.
That's awesome.
It's I feel really lucky because if you look at widespread media, professional wrestling is a lot more popular now than it ever was. And that's thanks to shows like Glow. If you watch the recent one with Stephen Amell, Heels.
I want to see that. I have not seen that yet.
It's very good. I actually would recommend it. Like the thing about shows, when they do shows about wrestling, is they don't tend to. There's a lot of stuff that they don't show, or a lot of stuff that the insider stuff that we as wrestlers know, and what goes on backstage. Even you yourself have been part of that in the times that you were working as a videographer for us. And Heels actually really nails a lot of that stuff that goes on backstage, the interpersonal relationships, the kind of egos and disagreements and things like that. So I think Heels is actually a pretty accurate representation of professional wrestling. Okay,
cool. I got to check that out then, because I watched Glow. I watched the first couple episodes, and I wanted to keep going with it. I just never did, and I did like what they were doing with it. But I've heard good things about Heels, so I do want to check that out.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I haven't watched Glow. I should watch Glow. But yeah, like there's so much popularity in pro wrestling as far as like mainstream media things go. I mean, even like without like this isn't the project I'm doing, but there's going to be a Hulk Hogan biopic.
Yeah, I think Chris Hemsworth's doing that, right?
Exactly right. Like that's huge, right? So now all of that stuff's sort of coming around. You've got Dark Side of the Ring, which is documentary series on really crazy stories and
the whole thing with that plane, the plane ride thing, and Tommy Dreamer got shit canned for it. That was weird. Like you hear stories, but then they give you the whole story in the Dark Side of the Ring. You're like, far out.
People don't know. Like people want to think that if someone's a good guy on TV, they're a good guy in real life. Yeah, it's not. It's really not. And the plane ride from hell was infamous, and I'm sure that everybody who saw that, got a real good eye opening into what it's like.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Someone like Tommy Dreamer, the comments that he had, obviously those sort of comments don't really fly in today's environment and today's social sort of society that we have. But back in the day, that was wrestling, like even someone like the stuff with Terry Runnels, where she talks about how, she was sexually assaulted backstage and all these kinds of things. And people just said, don't sell it, don't say anything about it. That was so commonplace. So I don't believe that wrestling will ever be a clean business. I don't think it can be.
Yeah.
But it's better than it was.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, slowly and surely, I'm sure it'll get, like you said, it probably will never be clean, but improvements here and there.
It's the generations, as the new generations come through, and they put more importance on different things. But when we talk about, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man, that was wrestling in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, 100%.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at the stories of all the wrestlers that unfortunately probably passed since, not all of them, but the majority of them have probably passed since then at a young age because, all the stuff they did back in the day.
Crazy lifestyles.
And you're on the road 90% of the year. Like
that's the side that people don't see. And so, for an example, with the WWE, if you're let's say you're on Raw films on a Monday night. So wherever you live, it's your job to get to Raw, however you want to get to Raw. So whether you fly there from where you live or whether you hit the road and drive, and then after Raw's filmed and taped, you have a series of Raw house shows, and they'll be on what they call a loop. So, for example, if they film Raw at what used to be the Staples Center, now going to be, I think, the Crypto.com Center.
Oh, it's changing.
It is changing, yeah. I don't know if you saw a massive, $1 billion deal to change the name of the Staples Center, which is crazy.
That's nuts. Yeah,
the Staples Center is an iconic.
It's stadium. Like Madison Square Garden, like
it's the Madison Square Garden of the West Coast, 100%.
Yeah.
And so, for example, Staples Center's Los Angeles, so the Raw tour might then go to other places in California, and then you'll fly home on a Thursday. You might have Friday and Saturday to yourself, and then you're flying out again on the Sunday. And all of these guys and girls, they pay their own travel expenses.
Yeah, WWE independent contractors.
100%. Obviously, it can come back around because if they're savvy with it, keep all of their receipts, claim it back on tax when it comes around. But that initial outlay is huge. So yeah, that's what it gives people an insight into to understand. These guys, when they talk about being on the road, they are driving through the night, hours on end, and no breaks. It's tough on the body.
Yeah.
It's just tough all around.
Do you still watch the current product?
No.
Fair enough.
I can't. And the reason why, and this is what I always come back to, because I used to get mad about it. A lot of people get angry and they complain and they say, why is this? Why is that? This sucks. That sucks. And what I came to realize was that it's not made for me anymore.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'm not. It's not because it's not made for me. I'm not meant to enjoy it. It's made for a younger audience. Back in the early 2000s, it was made for me. That's the stuff I enjoyed. Late 90s, when I was a little tacker, that was the stuff that was made for me. So I don't watch WWE, and a lot of wrestlers will be like, "Why don't you watch WWE? They are the standard. They are assumedly where everybody wants to go." And as someone in the industry, it's almost part of your. It's almost a requirement that you understand and you see everything that's going on. But I just come back to the fact that every time I've gone to watch it, I've been disappointed.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I used to, and even now, I don't even watch WrestleMania anymore. And that's the saddest part.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like if there was one show to watch every year, it would be WrestleMania, and I can't even bring myself to do that.
Wow. What was the last Mania you watched?
I couldn't tell you. I think I don't know if anybody's a wrestling fan. There's a Mania where Paige had this promo. I don't know if you know the one. She all of a sudden she came out of nowhere, was like, "Hi guys," and had this bright red lipstick, and her face took up the entire screen. And
was that the one? Was that the one they did with no crowd?
No, I think there might have been. I'm not sure, but it got memed straight away because it was scary as anything, and it gave me it literally gave me a jump scare seeing her on because it just went from a wide shot of the ring all of a sudden to an extreme close up. It was not a good transition, but the last WWE tryout I had was at the Super Showdown at the MCG, which was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They had, Undertaker versus Triple H. They had Ronda Rousey, all of that. And in the lead up to it, I was like, oh man, what if they ask me questions about the product? Like I have no idea of the storylines. I have no idea of this. So I sort of like tried to, even then I couldn't bring myself to like do a little bit of study before going. I was like, it won't matter.
It won't
No,
matter. Did they ask you anything?
No, they didn't ask me, and obviously I didn't get a job. So like,
yeah, that's fair. Well, now, you got an acting gig, so boo to them, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen what's going on lately, but the WWE for the last couple of years prior to this year, they were hoarding wrestlers. They were, which was their business
signing all the independent people. Yeah,
they were signing anybody that could have made money for somebody else. That's the best way I can put it. When whether they chose to make money with them or not is not relevant, because they just hide them away down in developmental for a couple of years, let them cool off, and then throw them back out into the water again. It's like a catch and release.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for the people that did that, because they legitimately thought they were going to be able to achieve their dream, and for whatever reason, politics or any of that kind of stuff that goes on. But I mean, people will say, well, they got paid. Yeah, they did get paid. But understand that you don't sign with the WWE. If you're an independent professional wrestler and you love what you do, you don't sign with them for the money. Like, yes, you appreciate the security of a regular paycheck.
Oh, yeah.
But you want to wrestle. That's what you want.
That's the passion.
Doing. Yeah, exactly right. So if you, I know what I would do. So if they say, we'll pay you 80 grand to come and not wrestle, or you can go and make half that wrestling, I know what I'd choose. And I think a lot of those people would be in the same boat, because that's really what they want to be doing. Their passion is to wrestle, to entertain, not to, be hidden away down in Florida somewhere.
Yeah, you want to create.
That's it. And whether, you just want that opportunity to do it. And whether the other side of it too is like, that initial sort of dream was like, when you get signed, you'll go to Raw, you'll go to SmackDown. People have these aspirations of being women's champion, heavyweight champion, but it's not like that anymore. You can sign to NXT or developmental and never leave. Yeah. Dakota Colton, she's an incredible example. I don't know how she's managed to survive that many cuts. I have no idea, but she's been there, I think, something like, must be like 8, 9, maybe even 10 years now.
Really?
Yeah, very long time, and she has not even sniffed the main roster.
Wow.
So like, if you're happy with that, cool. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak for myself. And as an independent now, like, if you haven't seen, there was some more releases a couple of days ago.
Yeah, Hit Row and a couple others.
So, and then someone put something together on Reddit. Over the last financial year, the WWE has released 80 wrestlers.
Wow. I'm still surprised they let go of Bray. Like, that was nuts.
And they talk about budget cuts when they've made more money than they've ever made.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, it's always budget cuts, and that's the thing they get. But it's every quarterly they make more money than they've ever made. It's nuts.
And if you take a look, I have not watched any of the new NXT, the 2.0 that they've changed it to.
Yeah.
I'm curious to, like, I want to, just to satisfy my curiosity. But what they're doing now, so for the last few years, they signed a lot of independent wrestlers, and there was a real sort of shift in the WWE style. There's a lot more flying, a lot more athleticism, and now they're seemingly going back to that sort of early 2000s model. Yeah, big dudes. But the real crux of it is when Vince McMahon lost Bret Hart in the late 90s, he made the decision to say, well, I mean, he still had guys like The Rock, Austin, Triple H, Undertaker, but nobody, aside from John Cena and Batista, have elevated themselves to that level of mega stardom anymore.
Yeah.
And that's on purpose, because
is it?
It is, because Vince learned that if I have individual stars and they leave, then I'm stuffed. So I don't want people to watch it for the individuals. I want people to watch it for the brand.
Yeah. He's turning it into a brand. Yeah.
So you don't. Oh, I want to watch The Rock. I want to watch Stone Cold. No, I want to watch the WWE.
Yeah.
And all of these cuts really speak to that. Like you mentioned, Bray Wyatt, incredible talent, a guy who has been the best thing about the WWE for the last couple of years, and they're happy to let him go.
Yeah, yeah.
They're happy to say, no, see you later, go do whatever. Like, they just don't care, because they know that they've got 5 other dudes that they can dress up in the same outfit and trot them out on SmackDown if they want to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Hit Row's a good example. Shane Strickland, he was really hot on Lucha Underground, and he was starting to get really hot on the indies after that, because obviously Lucha Underground, he wore a mask and then was doing his stuff with Shane Strickland. And what do? Snap him up straight away.
Yeah.
Didn't do much of anything with him for a while. Then they put him in a group where that has some social, cultural relevance in today's sort of society with the kind of stuff that we see. Call them up to the main roster. They last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then they're gone.
Yeah, that's it. That's terrible.
That's ridiculous.
And they keep a lot. And there's other names. I won't mention names because I don't want to be that type of guy. But there's talents there that shouldn't be there. And there's really good talents that they've let go. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Do you watch AEW, or do you pay attention to AEW at all?
I don't actively follow it, but I do. I do watch bits and pieces. I think I watched the Rampage a couple weeks ago, which had CM Punk versus Daniel Garcia. That was quite good.
Yeah.
I haven't watched much. I need to watch Full Gear. That's actually, you know what? I'll do that today. I'll say it to you now. I will do that today. I'll watch it tonight because I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, fair enough.
My only problem with AEW is that I feel like it probably caters a little too much.
Yeah, I think so. I think Tony Khan's very, he wants to cater to the fans, so to speak. Yeah.
Which is, catering to the fans is one thing. Pandering is another.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he does that too much. And I think there are levels to it. Like, I'm a big believer in giving the fans what they want.
Yeah.
But the trick to that is knowing when to do it. And so the best example I can think of, if you remember a few years ago, everybody was really, really hot on Daniel Bryan. And I think he had a match at the Royal Rumble. It was a championship match, or maybe it was SummerSlam. And everybody thought he was going to win. And then he didn't. And people were like, boo, boo, how can you not let him win, rah, rah. And I'm like, no, this is perfect.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you want. Like, the point of wrestling is to subvert expectations, right? A good promoter, a good booker will be that next step ahead. Like, we know what you want. We'll give it to you
eventually,
but not until we're ready. Yeah, exactly right. And then what happened? 6 months later, he won the championship at WrestleMania. It means far more than yeah, massive. Right?
I think it was the Rumble, because Ray ended up. Did Ray win that Rumble, or Ray came out 30th and he didn't come out, and everyone was losing their minds?
Yes, that's what it was. Exactly right. Yeah.
I got to tell you something. I got news for you. Unfortunately, it looks like you're not going to make it out of quarantine, because you've in fact died.
Oh, Phil.
Tell me, how did you die?
How did I die? It's funny because I was watching a movie last night. I started a new TV series, Hellbound. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
It's a Korean one. It's on Netflix, and it's actually a little bit supernatural. It's sort of like people are being sucked into hell by these creatures, and a police detective's trying to figure out what's going on. There's a religious cult. Again, it's Korean, so not dissimilar, to Squid Games,
which I haven't seen yet. I really got to watch that.
You do. It's incredible. And don't watch it dubbed. That's gross. Make sure to put the subtitles on.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic watch. So there was the guy. He gets killed by these monsters and incinerated in the street. And then I also watched Army of Thieves, which is the sequel, or rather prequel, to Army of the Dead. If you've watched that.
Yeah. I think so.
And it talks about so this movie focuses on the safe cracker and the guy who created the safes. And the guy who creates the safes eventually locks himself inside a safe and dies because people can't get him out. But that's what he wanted to do. That's how he wanted to go.
Oh, okay.
So I think as a professional wrestler, the most romantic thing is dying in the ring. Ric Flair said it not long ago. He I'd rather die in the ring than, by myself in a hospital, whatever.
Far out. That's so morbid.
It is dark. And obviously, there are wrestlers that have died in the ring.
Yeah.
Especially in recent memory, you had Pero Aguayo in Mexico who died, and also in the early 2000s, Mitsuharu Misawa that died in the ring.
Yeah.
So how did I die? I think I probably did something dumb. Not like Darwin-esque sort of thing, but like I reckon I probably I had my headphones in and I crossed the road and I wasn't looking and I got hit by a car. I think I'll say that.
Fair enough. All right. Let me ask you, do you believe, I don't think we ever really talked about it, do you believe in the afterlife or heaven and hell and things like that?
I'm not a religious person.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe in a God or anything like that. But I'm quite logical and I sort of apply a bit of a scientific mind to it. So, for example, science says that energy cannot die. Mm-hmm. Energy can only transform from one to another, can't be created, can't be destroyed. Mm-hmm. And studies have shown that when a human being passes, there is an energy that leaves the body.
Okay.
Now, if we know that energy can't be destroyed, that energy has to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I do believe that there are spirits. I have had supernatural experiences in my life. Mm-hmm. Again, not to the point that it would convince me that there's a God, but enough to make me think that yes, we do have spirits, we do have souls. Mm-hmm. Energy is around us. Mm-hmm. I think the idea of heaven is so whimsical, and like the Bible was written 2,000 years ago, right? Like I have this wacky theory about the Bible being like the equivalent of like Harry Potter in BC. It was just everyone was like, "Oh my God, have you read this Bible book? It's incredible!" Like this awesome. Guy. This guy turns like one fish into 20. He turns like water into wine. Dude, this is a crazy read. You got to read that.
That's awesome. And
here we are 2,000. Here we are 2,000 years later basing like world religions on it. But I mean, like the shortest example is, there are people that believe in midichlorians and that they're Jedis. And we know that Star Wars isn't real, The Scientology was created by a fiction writer. Like, so yeah, people will believe a lot of wild stuff. So the point I was trying to make there is like, I don't think that ultimately, I think a person should lead their life doing the best that they can, like the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Like, you don't need to be religious or to read the Bible to not be a cunt,
Yeah.
And there are people that will say, they're devout Christians and they'll still do horrible things. So religion as it is, I don't, participate in. And I would never knock someone or mock someone for their religion. If anything, I'm always quite curious. In my time in England, a lot of my friends were Muslim, so I got to understand the Quran and Muslim religion. And, like, it's interesting to me. But yeah, no, I wouldn't say I'm a religious person. What happens after I die, I don't know. The idea of heaven, like what I was going to say is, so when the book was written, people used to say, heaven's in the clouds. Then we built planes and there's no heaven in the clouds. And they go, heaven's in space. God's in space. Then we built spaceships and there's no God up there. So now he's invisible. Like the goalposts keep shifting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a fair point.
I mean, like, well, if there is one and you believe in that, then, I think, what is the guy's name, the British Stephen, I can't recall his surname. I can see his face in my head anyway. I'll send it to you if you've not seen it, but he has an interview with a guy and he talks about, well, if God is so good, why is there famine? Why are children born blind? Why is there rape and murder and all of these kinds of things? And people will use the excuse, it's God's plan. Well, what kind of plan is that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I, whilst not religious, I don't, knock anyone else for their views. And if you believe in a heaven, then it automatically means that you believe in a hell. And everybody knows we've done enough bad shit that we
everyone's going. We're all fucked.
100%.
Well, the good news is there is an afterlife, and your energy, your soul goes there. What would your afterlife look like to you? Like your perfect afterlife?
I think the way I've always pictured it is, the sort of notion of, you're visited by death and your life flashes before your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I think of that is, as life's flashing before your eyes, you've got the opportunity to say, hey, hold on, can we just like pause it real quick? Can we go back to that moment?
Mm-hmm.
Can I like hear that again? And what he can also do is he can then say to you, he can tell you about all the times all the people have thought about you or talked about you, not just everything that you've seen from your perspective. So my theory is I want to do as much shit as possible so that me and death are hanging out for like days on end, watching my movie back and rewinding and going
awesome.
through all this stuff and going, oh wow, that person actually hated my guts. Oh wow, that person did this thing for me that I didn't even know at the time.
Yeah.
And
That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, and romantically, like I'd love to be able to see my own funeral, as morbid as that might sound.
Yeah, but
yeah, I'd love to be able to be
front row
float. Yeah. And I actually need to write a will, because I know if I were to pass away soon,
mm-hmm.
my mum and dad would probably have a religious ceremony, and that would bother me to no end. So
fair enough. So would mine, actually. I've probably got to do that as well. Yeah.
No, it's an important thing. Like, if that's not what you want to have, like, make it
definitely.
yeah.
Well, I've told them how I want to be sent off. I want to be sent off in like a boat, and just like in the old days, they put you in a boat with all the shit.
Yeah, Viking flaming arrows.
That's what I want. But that'll never happen. I think it's illegal, actually. But oh well. Why not break the rules? The last moment.
I haven't thought much about that. I used to think about cremation, but one thing that I have, and I think you have it in Australia. We definitely have it in New Zealand. But there's a thing on your driver's license that says whether you're an organ donor or not.
Yeah. It's on the
and
back,
for me that's the ultimate thing. If my passing can result in, because typically the organs don't go to live donors. They sometimes will if it's, the timing's right. A person just passes away and they need a kidney or a liver or whatever. But for the most part, those organs are then used for scientific research.
Okay.
It's for scientific research for the most part. So if I can then contribute one last time, then I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, because on my driver's license, I have that I'm an organ donor. But yeah, I didn't know. I don't mind if it goes to science. I'm all for it. Yeah,
and I understand there are religions where they don't want that to happen. For whatever reason, they're required to be buried, with all of their organs. I think that's part of the Jewish religion. It's sacrilegious to, sort of have that sort of stuff done before you're committed to the ground. Yeah, and there are other religions like that, and fair play.
Yeah.
For me, don't mind at all.
Yeah. So before we started, yesterday, I asked you about. I gave you 2 categories to choose from, or you can pick your own one. What did you end up with? I don't think you ever told me.
The categories we chose were wrestling and movies.
Oh, you got to pick one. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Which one do you prefer? One. Yeah. Which one do you prefer? Or I
feel like I've talked about wrestling heaps, and I wouldn't mind talking about movies. I think we can talk about movies.
All right, cool. So as you're chilling with the Grim Reaper and he's, showing you around the different parts of your life, he asks you, what is the first movie you remember seeing?
Oh man, now I kind of wish I chose wrestling.
We can change it. It's not too late.
No. We'll stick with it. The first movie I remember seeing, like vividly remember seeing and going to the movie to see, was The Mask.
Oh, wonderful choice.
Right? Just Jim Carrey's debut. What's the name of the girl in it? Cameron Diaz's debut.
Oh, that's right. She is too. God, she's young in that.
Yeah, really young, right? But an incredible film. And I love Jim Carrey. And I think that he's the last true physical slapstick style comedian.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
America was good at producing them because you had guys like, what was the name of the guy, the big bloke who passed away?
not John Candy.
Chris.
Chris Farley.
Yeah, Chris Farley. John Candy's a great example too.
Yeah.
Guys like gosh, who am I thinking of? Groundhog Day. Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. Oh, Bill Murray's great.
Yeah. These fantastic physical slapstick comedians that you just don't see anymore. And Jim Carrey was the last of that. The way he moved his face, the way he was animated. And I mean, obviously, he just had banger after banger after banger in the late 90s.
Yeah. His movies were nuts in the 90s.
Oh, my God. Ace Ventura, Liar, Liar.
Oh, that was great.
Oh, man. Cable Guy, all of it.
I actually watched Cable Guy for the first time a few years ago. It was like, he's extreme in this one. Like,
it's full on. But he chews the scenery every time. Like, you can't help but have him on screen because you want to see what he's going to do next.
Yeah, I reckon 90% of his stuff is just ad-libbed. I reckon they give him the script, he tears it up, and he just goes for it.
Which is magical, Like, you just don't see it anymore. Guys that... It's similar to wrestling in that these are the guys who cut their teeth at 1 a.m. in the comedy clubs, trying out all of their stuff, figuring out this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Saturday Night Live guest spots.
Yeah.
Mad TV back in the day, another sketch show that was really popular. And when they get to the dance, they are ready to go.
They're ready to they're nothing scares them. I mean, I'm sure something does, but they don't let it show.
And in professional wrestling, it used to be like that too, because you have guys who cut their teeth on the independent scene, go to Japan, go to UK, and when they get to the dance, they're ready to go. But nowadays, they try and produce their own guys, and a lot of guys fall on their faces. They don't have the charisma, they don't have the ability to connect with the audience.
Exactly.
So The Mask, first movie.
Awesome. What's a moment from a movie, any movie that you've seen, that has lived in your head, and for some reason you've never been able to get it out?
I watched it actually the other day. It's the scene from what movie? I'm not sure what movie in the series it is. I think it's the first Avengers movie.
Okay.
And it's the scene when they're all sitting around inside Tony's apartment and they're all having a drink and they're all seeing if they can lift Thor's hammer.
That's Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron, thank you.
Yeah.
And then that split second when it moves, when Steve Rogers grabs it.
Yeah.
And like Chris Hemsworth, his Thor is fantastic.
Oh,
really, really good. And the character development they've gone through, showing him as a really aloof, sort of idiot, doing silly stuff. And obviously he's got all this power, but he has no really grasp on how to use it and what to do with it, all the way through to the character arc that he has now, where he's now, the god of thunder, the leader of Asgard, and he understands his role and what he needs to do. And Ragnarok is incredible.
Ragnarok is amazing.
And it stood out because it was so different to everything that had come before in terms of the Marvel series. Obviously, Taika Waititi, incredible director, has a great sense for comedy, and the timing and the delivery in that film. Like that scene when they're picking their weapons and he talks about how his hammer shoots them off. The hammer shoots you off. It's very fun.
And have you seen the What If series on Disney Plus?
I have. Fantastic.
That Thor really. I was like, this is the Thor that was a dumbass in the first one, and he does it really well.
Yeah, I love the What If. I finished What If. I watched Venom: Let There Be Carnage, which is quite good.
Is it good?
Yeah, I don't actually think it's come out in Australia yet, so I'm probably telling on myself. But yeah, really good. Like I said, I watched WandaVision. I watched Loki when it was coming out. I was watching that every week. Loki was incredible.
Loki was
Richard Grant in the old Loki costume. Oh my God, I lost it.
Great. Yeah. And the little alligator Loki, that cracked me up. I laughed for like 5 minutes. That shit was ridiculous.
They've done incredibly well.
Have you seen? I had it because you're talking about Taika. Have you seen the What We Do in the Shadows movie?
I've seen clips. I haven't because it was a series before a movie, wasn't it?
No, it was a movie and now it's a series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen clips of it because like coming from New Zealand, there's a lot of really well-known New Zealand actors and comedians in it. And I went to university in Wellington, which is where Jermaine Clement is from, where Taika Waititi's from.
Okay.
And also Brent, the other guy, the other half of Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
And also Reese, I can't remember his surname now, but he's the manager in Flight of the Conchords. And he plays a werewolf in What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know the scene, they're walking along the pier and the vampires run into the werewolves and they're like making fun of them, saying, "Oh, like you smell, you're a dog." And then one of the guys swears, and Reese's line is, "Mate, what did I say? We're werewolves, not swearwolves."
Yes.
Amazing, dude. Just incredible.
I want a shirt that says that we're werewolves, not swearwolves. I think that'd be hilarious.
So yeah, it's really cool to see those guys kicking goals in the way that they are.
Yeah, they're doing real good.
Yeah, Jermaine Clement, like people don't even realize how he transitioned into movies. You know, like he was the main villain in Men in Black 3. Like nobody talks about that. Yeah.
I haven't seen that one. I watched Men in Black 2 and I didn't watch any of the other ones.
I love the Men in Black series, but again, that's like, you know.
Did you watch Did you watch the new one? Well, the new one that came out.
Men in Black International.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was bad.
Fair enough.
Because it was like an attempt to reboot the series, but it's like, come on, man! Like Men in Black is Will Smith. It is Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
It's a buddy cop movie set against the backdrop of aliens.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly.
So if you don't have the buddy cop dynamic in there, it doesn't work.
Agreed. Yeah, I didn't watch because I heard it's a lot like the Ghostbusters reboot they tried to do around that time, or maybe a few years
the all-female one.
Yeah, I didn't hate that one, but I just wasn't a huge fan of it. Like, I don't shit on it like a lot of people do, but at the same time, I didn't love it.
It's really hard because obviously nostalgia is a very powerful sentiment, and we remember those original films, the original Ghostbusters. Even like, I mean, crazy to think they tried to already sort of reboot the Men in Black franchise, and it was only 10 odd years since the original. So you know,
they did was it the third one they had Josh Brolin in it, and he played the Tommy Lee Jones.
He played young Tommy Lee Jones. Correct.
Yeah.
I think Josh Brolin's awesome.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like, I mean, aside from the Goonies, like, I loved him in No Country for Old Men.
That's a fucking good movie.
Incredible movie. Yeah. And Tommy Lee Jones is in that one too, actually.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. He did really well as Cable. Like, everyone talks about him as Thanos, and he was great as Thanos, but I think he was really good as Cable.
I also need to watch the Old Boy remake. You know, they have you heard of Old Boy?
No.
So it's a Korean film, and it's about a guy who is kidnapped and he's locked in a room for 20 years with just a bed and a television, and he's never told why.
Yeah.
And then by the time he gets out, he finds out that I think someone's killed his family. So then then they remade that in an American way, and Josh Brolin is the main character.
Well, that sounds interesting. I want to check that out.
Yeah, pretty full on stuff, but yeah, I want to watch that. And then Cable, he was good as Cable for sure.
So it's called Old Boy.
Yeah, Old Boy. Yep.
All right, I got to check that out. So what's a movie that you're ashamed that you've seen?
Ashamed that I've seen?
Yeah.
Oh man. Like one that like completely wasted my time.
Like either people are like, oh, when they talk about it, you don't even bring it up. Like you hate it. Like you hate that you saw it. But it wasted your time. The
Robert Downey Jr. Dr. Dolittle movie.
Oh, I've heard terrible things about it.
Just so bad. Like, obviously, like, at the time, he'd just come off of Iron Man, so he was now like Hollywood golden boy, taking whatever projects. Yeah. And like that sucked so bad.
Yeah.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was good. If you've watched that was a little more art house. And he also has a cameo in Chef, if you've watched Chef.
Yeah, I love Chef. Chef is a great movie. I have to eat right after I watch it. You can't, like, I can't turn that movie off and not go to the kitchen.
It's funny to me because, like, obviously it's written by Happy Hogan. What's his real name?
Yeah. He's been in Jon Favreau.
Yeah, Jon Favreau.
He's doing all the Mandalorian stuff. And
and he used to direct the early Marvel films before Kevin Feige
the first
came
Iron Man,
yeah,
I think.
Correct. And so it's just absolutely hilarious to me that he writes Chef and he writes Scarlett Johansson as like his sex interest. I'm like, come on, dog. I'm like, give us a break.
Like, he knows. He just picks up his phone. He's like, yeah, all right.
He's like, as he's writing the script, he's like, me and Scarlett bang, full stop. Like,
that's the script. That's how it starts. I got to work around Scarlett bang.
But it is a good movie in and of itself, following the sort of story, really good cinematography of the food and the way it's cooked. Yeah. But
the guy he works with, what's his name? I know he's Hispanic. I don't know if he's Mexican or not.
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Oh, is it Lou Diamond? I thought it was John. Is it John Leguizamo or is it Lou Diamond Phillips?
Oh, no, you're right. It is John Leguizamo. Thank you. He's actually, I think he's half Mexican. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen his comedy special where he like, it's like him teaching a class, but he's like, forget all the shit you learn in school. This is what really happened. And it's like, it's actually pretty good. I'd recommend it. The crowd doesn't seem to get it. The crowd's kind of out of it throughout it, but I'll send it to you. I'll send you the link, but the crowd's kind of out of it. They don't really know what's going on, but it's really, really good.
I think he's a great character actor. I don't think he has the chops to carry a film, but he's a fantastic supporting actor in everything that he's in.
I agree. Yeah. I don't think he would sell tickets just by himself, but yeah, as a sidekick, as you said, he'd be pretty good.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was episode 5 of the podcast. Thank you again for listening. We'll be back next week with part 2 of this conversation. I hope you're enjoying it. I had a blast recording it and having a chat with Matt. But yeah, we'll be back next week. I hope you have a Merry Christmas or whatever it is that you celebrate at this time, if anything. And if not, Happy Holidays. And remember, just because the rogue in your party looks shady doesn't mean they're bad. They may just be misunderstood.